Thank you very much for joining this session. This is the third in the series where we are trying to help the startup founders and the team members get over this COVID-19 crisis. So, the intent of having this session is to bring up how the team leaders of the most competent organizations are driving high deliverables from the team while maintaining the work from home rule. Now, it doesn't mean that this is only for the founders, but also for the team members on what and how they should drive themselves in order to deliver on what their organization and the founders are looking for. To talk about this, we have Nidhi. Nidhi is an experienced marketeer with demonstrated history of working with developer and the startup ecosystem. She has spent significant time in companies like Microsoft, and now she's leading the product management at Hair Technologies. So, Nidhi, over to you.
Thank you, Sunil. Hi, everybody. Before we proceed, I have to correct one thing. I'm not leading product management. I'm a lead product owner for the web app tools. We have a bunch of tools that we are currently using for location, data, and technology platform. So that's what I do. It's an honest mistake, but I couldn't take credit for being the lead of product management. Okay, let's get started. You already know my name. My professional title is lead product owner, but I'm mostly referred to as mommy at my new workplace, which is my home, like most of you in these days. So today we're going to talk a little about work from home, what work-life balance is, and really kind of traverse through these challenging times together. I'm not sure how many of you have a caretaker or a nanny or a DD, we have different names for them, somebody to take care of your child while you're away at work. I do have one, not currently, thanks to COVID, but I do have one, and she keeps springing those surprises on me by not showing up to work. So even besides working from home as a regular basis, I do end up working from home a lot. And I think because of this, I do feel that I have developed some tactics, if you may, to really distract and disappear from my child's focus or view for some time and kind of take these conference calls or webinars like this one. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from, and that's what I think I'm going to share with you all today. But before we get started, let me just give you a little bit more professional background and where I'm coming from, most of which has been shared by Sunil. I do have a background working with developers and startup communities. I started my career long back. I have over 10 years of experience, of which I probably spent 6 to 7 years working for developer community. I have worked very closely with startups across the globe. I joined Microsoft in 2012, I believe, right after my master's, and I became a product marketing manager for Windows. And one of the core things I did there was actually talk to communities and understand what they were going through, give them a perspective, help them understand how to really perceive technology, how to perceive the changes and the trends, and apply them when they start a new business or a startup. I worked as an associate director of marketing at a CPaaS company, and even over there, I was working very closely with the startup community in India. So I do speak a little bit startup at this point. Other than this, in my professional career, which has spanned over 10 years, I have at least for 3 years, I've worked from home. And these 3 years included working for Microsoft. For myself, I have worked as a contractor or an individual employee of my own company, and even for a small media company with no more than 50 employees. So it wasn't really a startup, but very close to one. So today, more than anything, I will be sharing my experiences and learnings of working from home while maintaining a work-life balance. Well, here's a disclaimer. It's a work-life balance for me. It has worked for me. You have to figure out your own work-life balance, and that's what we're going to talk about for majority of the time. Uh, Let me see how I can move to the next slide. Okay, so this is what we're going to talk about today. We'll talk about work life balance, how to transition to work from home in the current times of COVID 19, and how to engage efficiently with team when work from home. And this is two way. We will talk a little about how, as an employee or an individual contributor, you need to think about working from home and staying engaged, and what leaders or founders can really do to supplement this effort or supplement this initiative by the employees to make themselves and the team more effective and productive. Uh, I understand the format is that at the end of the talk, we'll have some time for questions. So, unless you have anything right away, let's get started and then we'll have some time towards the end to answer any questions. Okay, I'll take that as a cue for a yes. Okay, this is what I want to talk about first. But before we get there, let's see what we really think work-life balance is. How do you really describe a work-life balance? When we talk about work-life balance, the first thing that comes to your mind is probably one of those scales. You have those equal balances that you have in courtrooms and whatnot. Even if you Google it, that's the first image you'll see. But work life balance does not mean an equal balance. Trying to schedule an equal number of hours for each of your various work and personal activities is usually very unrewarding and is basically unrealistic. So our daily needs, they may differ on day-to-day basis, and so does our expectation from our lifestyle or life's balance, if you may. Because life in general is very fluid, and that's how it should be. So the work-life balance should be, it should not be set in stone. It's not one size fit all. It's even for ourselves. What was work-life balance for me 5 years ago is not true today, and for you and I, it'll be different again. So how do we really think about work-life balance? One way to think about it is like, it can be thought more as a budget. Like you set a budget for yourself every month, how you're going to spend your income or your money. You set aside some money for basic necessities like rent, commute, food, in my case, fees and childcare, the must haves. And then you put aside some money for your indulgences, your hobbies, self care, getting that pedicure, etc. So yeah, that's how we usually think about things. Okay, this is my budget. I have 100 rupees. I'm going to spend 50 on blah, and rest 50 I'm going to really save for X, Y, and Z. So that's exactly how we're going to think about our time. The truth is that we only have 24 hours in a day. And if you look at my day, I I kind of just block it out. I block some time for my sleep because it's very crucial to me. I need my sleep. I have some time that I've allocated to work, which I try to depict with that little envelope sign. And then there is family time that I have depicted with a heart. So yeah, that's me being very creative. I'm not being so good at it, but I tried. So you need to think of this as what you have and how you're going to budget it without overspending. So you need to understand the truth of time. The, Once you do this for yourself, you will know what your reality is. This is, how I want to spend my time. You might want to spend your time differently. That is your budget. But try to be underspending. Do not overspend. So again, it may be different for you and I, and that is okay, because there's no size that fits all, and there's no budgeting model that I'm going to talk about. So do this as an activity. Identify what your current day looks like, how what time you're spending where, and this will give you a window into whether or not you're currently balancing your life the way you need to, or the way you want to. Now, another thing that I usually do is at the start of the day, I draw these, you can say, invisible boundaries or plans. I draw like a line in the sand that basically defines how much time or what part of the day I'm going to spend in certain activity. This is more so, it's more recent, primarily because of COVID. Both me and my husband are working from home, and we have a child to take care of, and we have to schedule our day around him. So it's good to have that plan. But I've always and always maintained a calendar, one calendar, not calendars. It's just one calendar, which is both professional and personal items in it. So it's very important to give, especially in the given scenario where people are working from home, that you have a calendar which is transparent, in the sense that, hey, I'm going to wake up at 8 o'clock, and from 8 to say 9:30 is my family time where I'm getting ready. I'm getting my child ready. I'm making my breakfast, probably eating it too, if not on my desk. But so you block that time out. Then from say 10 to 12 is when I'm going to be spending time on my office work. After that, maybe you have to cook food, you have to prepare the meal, you have to make lunch, eat lunch. So these are some of the things that you can make transparent. You can block them out. You don't really have to write what you're going to do, but just say, okay, this is my personal time and this is my professional time. And just make it visible for the team. So they are able to see when to expect you to be working, what are your office hours, and what are your personal hours. So that's something that has actually worked for me. Okay, now going back to our monthly budget. Again, we're continuing to talk about the work-life balance and how to really think about it. Uh, so, you know how some of us want to have bigger houses or better phones, basically spend money on things that we need, we enjoy. So these are some of the aspirations we have. They give us a sense of achievement. Um, these are the things that we want to enjoy in life. And that's what we strive for. That's why you go to work every day. You make that money so you can spend on things that you need or you fancy. At the core of everything or everyday life, there are two main things that we are always trying to chase: some sort of achievement or some sort of enjoyment. And this is how I'm going to talk mostly or think mostly about our work life balance. When we say, I have, I have a very meaningful day today. I have a very good day today. What are the things that contributed for that day to be good? Was it because you were able to complete certain things that you thought were important for you? I painted my room today, and I've been trying to paint my room for last 3 months. I wanted to make it brighter, but I didn't have time to do this. This is an achievement for me. This, along with the other activities that I have to do on a daily basis, I've been able to achieve. So this is an achievement for me. And did I enjoy it while painting my house? Well, I did. Maybe you did too. So yeah, you have two check marks there. You know, I have achieved something. I have enjoyed something. Well, it was a successful day for me. So a meaningful daily achievement and enjoyment in what matters most to you is how I'm going to perceive the work-life balance. I want to share my next slide at this point. Okay. This is my work life balance. These are the four quadrants of my life, which includes my family, my work, my friends, my network, all the other things, relatives, and whatnot. And then comes me. I want to dedicate some time to myself. It could be to improve me as a person. My sleep is important to me. That is my me time. Going for that, for a spa session is something that I enjoy. So yeah, that is important to me. So going back to our previously discussed thing of work-life balance not being a complete balance or an equal balance, you can see my quadrants are not aligned. They are of different size. They take up different section of the board. I pay a lot of importance, and I put a lot of emphasis on my family and my family time. So yeah, in my work-life balance, my life is a bigger chunk or a bigger priority than the rest of the things. My family is a bigger priority than the rest of the things. Next comes maybe my friends or my work. I want to spend enough time to have the sense of enjoyment and achievement in both these aspects of my life. I should be able to deliver something at work which makes me feel that I have achieved something. At the same time, have enough things going on that I enjoy my work. I cannot be, I could not have a work which is not giving me enjoyment, because at the end of the day, these are the two core values that I'm striving for. Family and friends, probably they give more of enjoyment to us, but there are achievements too. You're sending your child off to an ivy school. That's quite an achievement, and that's something that most of Indian parents, they strive for. They have been working hard all their life so that they can get their child married nicely or send them to school. So these have always been there. The definitions or the way we perceive them has changed over time. So at the end of the day, what you need to do is basically ask yourself, when was the last time that you achieved and enjoyed something at each of these four quadrants? Your life, your family, your work, your friends, and for yourself. So did you read a nice book today? Did you get a new, did you learn something new? Did you take up a course, or did you go hiking? So these are some of the activities that you may enjoy and achieve. And that's how we have to think about work-life balance. Kind of sum it all up, I would say work-life balance does not mean spending equal number of hours on the four quadrants of your life. Instead, it means that you budget your time to experience achievement and enjoyment in every quadrant without overspending. So this is what I personally feel, and this is what I have kind of experienced as well. And my biggest takeaway for you guys to really think about work life balance in current and other contexts would be to be to be enjoying your life while achieving some things, and maintaining a balance which may not always be equal hours spent on work and equal hours spent on family. Before we proceed, I want to share this one video. So I'm gonna share it. Let me know if you guys can see it. Okay, so the reason I shared this video was basically, sorry, okay. So before we move on to work from home bit of our today's session, I just wanted to spend some time in kind of regrouping and really thinking about, even when we talk about work-life balance and lifestyle, what are those important things in our life that contribute to the family or this me section, and be able to adjust them in a way that we are able to uh, we are able to dedicate enough time and enough sincerity towards them. Okay, so maybe this is a good time to take a pause and see if there are any questions or if you guys had any comments. There are a couple of chats not visible. PPT is not. Oh, I'm so sorry. Uh,
So Nidhi, yeah,
would you like me to
it's
help?
visible at partially it's visible actually with people who are having issue with the network speed. I think it's not visible there. Otherwise, I've been confirming with people. I think it's visible in most of the places.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and let's plan to pick questions at the end of the session. Uh,
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going too
yeah,
fast
yeah,
for
yeah,
people.
sure, sure.
Okay. I'm sorry. I was on mute. Okay. Sorry, guys. Honest mistake. Okay. I'll start again. uh, we're moving to work from home section, and I have on and off worked from home in my career for at least 3 years. Um, Sometimes it was due to personal preference. Like there was one time I was pregnant and I didn't want to commute to work. And right after that, I had a newborn baby and I didn't want to commute to work. And in more recent times, where I work in a distributed team structure, where my team is based out of Berlin, in Chicago, and Berkeley, and I'm in Mumbai. So we have uh, we have people working from different time zones or out of different offices, even if they are in India. So instead of commuting for 2 hours on a daily basis, I schedule work from home for some days in a month again for work-life balance, uh, so that I can save myself some commutation time, which goes towards fulfilling other aspects of my life that I deem important. Um, while working for Microsoft, there was also this one time where me and my husband, I was married, and my husband was based in Chicago, and I was based in Redmond. And for that whole year, one of us would commute every weekend or any holiday or long weekend to the other person just to be with each other. And slowly it became too much. That it became difficult to continue this way. So I went ahead and I chose to work from home. I got some approvals, and boom, I was in Chicago. Um, I would still travel to Redmond once in a month or two to maintain my relationships with my peer, to have some face-to-face time. There were times where I had to do some sessions or I had events to go to. So there was some commutation. It wasn't like completely, oh, she's gone. But I was working from home at least 80 to 90% of my time. Now, since this was my first time working from home, there were a lot of challenges that I faced, and it took me some time to really settle into this new reality. That what, it will not be the same. I will not be going to the office, and things will not be the same. I will still be expected to do the same work, but nobody would know I'm doing that work. Uh, how would I know my reportees are showing up to work and they're doing what they were supposed to be doing? So these are some of the things that I had not thought about previously, and they were brand new, and I had to really figure out how to do this. Also, my role involved working with a lot of vendors. So what that meant was I was constantly on phone with somebody or the other, giving me very little time to really focus on my actual peers, people who were who were working with Microsoft as an employee. So slowly, I put in place a system for. And this was a system that worked very well for me, and that's what I'm going to share today. You can build your own system, um, taking this as a kind of a idea or a model, if you may. Uh, so there were core things to working from home, and one of the things that I like to do here is I kind of divide this into work from home part and work and the office part. So when I say office part, this is where I want to talk about things that would keep me engaged with the rest of the my peers and the rest of office, and the home part where actually I'm being productive by myself because I have given myself an opportunity to have the right tools and right space and right opportunity to work. So what I did was I built some communication strategies to start with. I would initiate conversations on Skype with my peers on a daily basis. So we were not a very big team, but we were like 15, 20 people in my team. And I would just randomly uh, talk to them looking at their calendars or see who's online at that time. And, I would just say hi and see where it goes. Initially, people didn't really understand why I was doing that. And then they realized that all I was trying to do was what I did when I was actually in the office, say a hello and be there and be on top of their minds, or at least not be forgotten. So the thing to remember here is that it is very critical to establish and maintain engagement when you're working from home. You can do it in different ways, but you should do it any which, like, whatever way works for you, you should do it. It's not only the responsibility of your manager or your company or organization, but you as an individual as well are responsible to be engaged and to continue building and nurturing your workplace relationships. Always overshare. When you're working from home, overshare. Write emails, send texts, do chat, do whatever you want to do. But make sure that you are engaged on a daily basis. You may be using Slack or Zoom or any other program out there for chat. Just and chat is actually probably the easiest way to keep in touch. So yeah, do that because when you do this, it kind of makes distance non and isn't distance a non-issue. So distance will become less of a problem for you if you are engaged on a daily basis on these uh, other platforms. I spend at least 30 to 40%, I would say, of my working time in meetings, even when I'm in the office. While meetings conducted in a room forces one to be extremely alert, so people are watching, you cannot really doze off, or you can't really check your phone every 2 minutes, nor can you be, playing games. I've caught myself doing that once in a while when initially I was working from home. But yeah, but when you're in a room, the environment is forces you, or the existence of other people force you to be very alert and participate in the discussion. And oftentimes this is a mess in online meetings. So you can put yourself on mute and go off. You're not, nobody's watching you. Nobody can hear you. People think you're listening to us, listening to them, and you can just wander off or to your La La Land, or better, play PUBG. So yeah, or maybe forward a WhatsApp message. Do whatever you want to do. But probably that is why uh, calls, the phone calls and online meetings don't have the greatest reputation for being effective and efficient. We have made it. Now, how do we fix that? We can fix it by keeping this camera on. Yes. So every laptop today comes with a high definition webcam built in. And there are free conferencing utilities like Zoom, there's Google Hangout. I don't know if it still exists or not. I use Miro, we have WebEx, we have Teams. So there are plenty of tools, software tools available for video conferencing. So make a video call. It is easy. It's actually easier than an actual call, and it doesn't cost also. So the best thing is that you're able to see a friendly face and you're able to have that human interaction, those social cues. You're able to see whether the person is smiling while they're talking to you or not. So these social cues also contribute to uh, they, they contribute and they help in understanding what the other person is saying and making the conversation more interesting. It's not a dialogue, it's not a monologue, it becomes a conversation at this point. And it also gives you a reason to actually get out of your bed and change into something nice, not show up in your pajamas or anything. So yeah, do video conferencing. Another thing that happens, and for a lot of us, the office is a fun place. Our office has a separate room for games. We have a space where people are playing ping pong. There is a game station. There's actually a massage chair on every floor in our office. We get these pet pet a dog kind of things happening over Fridays. You have events happening. So yeah, office can be a fun place. And we have friends, we make friends, we have a sense of community, a purpose, a common mission that we're driving to. We have, at here, we have different societies. We have a hype society, which wherein we have these events over the weekends. We play cricket together, or I think every alternate Friday, we have a mingle night, a mingle evening where we also get some drinks in the house and people can just relax. They can spend some time, an hour, 2 hour, however long they want in the office and just relax, talk to each other, know each other on a personal level. So these are some of the things that do happen in offices, making it very interesting. And it's really hard to go from that to working from home and not having any intelligent conversations, barring your child. If you have a child, I have intelligent conversations with my 3-year-old. So you could be having that with your dog, maybe, or whoever. But yeah, somebody who shares as I said, shares a purpose or shares a mission with you. You probably would not be having that on a daily basis. So it might be impossible to exactly duplicate the community of an office environment when we are cooped up in our home offices. But that is not a reason to not even try. On top of being effective and constantly communicating, we need to ensure that there is some fun happening. There's some fun and side conversations. Some, those tapri chai conversations where you go out on your sutta breaks, or you're having tea, or we have a cafeteria. We go at 4 p.m. every day. We just, all of us from our seats, we like, those birds. We just flock to the cafeteria to have chai and we talk. We have we do gossip sessions. We talk about stuff. We have fun. We play. We do different things. That is current scenario. Even before this, when I was probably a couple of years into my career, I used to go. We had a group of friends because, and early in your career, when you're young, you make friends rather than peers and colleagues. So we used to play Xbox in office almost every single day after lunch. And when I was in Chicago, after working in Redmond for almost a year, I started working from home. I did not give up on that ritual. I would call my friends up. Like our time zones were different now because Chicago is 2 years ahead of Seattle. So what happens is my lunch hour used to end 2 hours before they started. So we would manage that time and in a way, and we would continue playing Xbox online, or we would play any other game on a daily basis, just to maintain that relationship or maintain that ritual. I did not even miss out on my water break or water cooler breaks either. I remember I used to ping my friend at work to take a break, and let's go grab a coffee and then we'll talk. I used to do that a lot. And when I started working from home, uh, initially I didn't do that for some time. And then I realized, you know what? She can grab coffee at her desk and I can grab coffee at my desk and we can still have conversations. So I used to call her up and say, you know what? It's time for a break. Grab a cup. And then we'll do the chit chat that all the girl things we have to talk about, or even some office gossip and things like that. So we used to do that. These things work. These things help you stay focused as well, because now you're more engaged. People know you're there. People know you still exist. You can share what you are doing. Besides gossip, you can actually talk about work as well. You can tell them what you did today, what you achieved, what was the part that was most enjoyable for you. Share some online courses with your friends. You can do multiple things. Take your pick. So what these strategies basically do work, but they work best when you have the right mindset. What helps you build that mindset? First of all, one of the biggest misconceptions that I have seen is people think work from home is a vacation. Oh, you're working from home. Yeah, you're not working at all. You're hardly working. There's a joke that says remote workers are remotely working. That's not true. Work from home is not a vacation, nor is it a hackathon. You really need to employ the work life balance concepts while working from home as well. And it becomes and slightly more easy to implement. Why easy to implement? Because now you're not spending 2 hours every day on commuting. You can actually decide, I'm not going to cook my breakfast and lunch together. I will use 15 minutes prior to my lunchtime to make my own meal and have a healthy, fresh meal. So these are some of the things that work from home enables you to do. So there are definite pros to this. Uh, so you need to really think of work from home and work life balance concepts together. That I am going to utilize, or I am going to take this opportunity to give myself a better balance in my life and my lifestyle, while ensuring that I'm highly engaged. I'm always available, not always available, but yeah, available when needed to my team, and I'm able to provide them and my company the best of my efficiency. How do you do that? Again, those lines we talked about, the lines in the sand. You draw those lines in sand, but this time you also draw them not only in your time, but physically. So you have to find the right location. You have to build office space. It's extremely important that you do not call your bed your office. It is not your office. That's where you sleep. And let it be that way. Your pajamas are not your business casuals. They are pajamas. Change them. Wear decent clothes. Find something comfortable, because you're at home. You don't really have to have the a bodycon on, but yeah, find something comfortable, nice to wear. Get out of your bed and find a comfortable, quiet corner in your home. I personally prefer a desk and a chair, but my husband is more of a beanbag person. So what he does is he's grabbed a beanbag, he's found himself a corner and he puts it there. That's where he settles himself. He's got a book, he reads a lot. He's got lots of books on the side that also work as a table for him. So he's got his mug of coffee on top. He's got his, all his headsets and stuff on. So yeah, that's how he does things. I like to be more proper about it. I have my desk, I have my chair, I have my glass of water, and when I want coffee, I get up, I make myself coffee, and I bring it. So that's that's your own personal choice. But also make sure that you are comfortable. Let your family know you are not to be disturbed during your office hours. You may be at home, but these are still your office hours, and you have to let your family know that. Communicate. I have been able to teach my 3 year old the concept of office hours, so you should be able to try. If you try, you'll be able to tell your family too. They will understand. It is very easy to get distracted. So, a knock on the door, somebody just rang the bell, there are thousand chores in the house, especially now when all the house help and drivers and, cleaners, they're not coming. So you have to clean those dishes that you ate in. You have to make your own meal. You have to clean the house. You have to put away things that you used yesterday. Then there is, ours is a smaller family, but there are bigger families, people who live with with their parents and grandparents. So there's a lot of noise. Grandparents watching TV and parents watching TV. And it's like there's a lot of sound. This is yourself very focused on what you're supposed to be doing at that particular time. If that is the time you've dedicated or you have identified to be your office time, then you have to make sure that these things do not distract you. What I do is I close my door. I just block it all out. My office, my room is my office, and if the door is closed, that means my office is on. My husband, he is invested in these really cool noise canceling headsets. He puts them on top of closing the door. So he's like, yeah, he's the next level. So he closed the door and then he put those headsets on, and that's what helps him focus. Now, what happens if you have a little kid at home, and in our scenario, we are just the two of us, and we have a 3 year old. If both of us lock ourselves in our respective rooms, who will take care of the child, given that we don't even have a nanny right now? We don't have anybody else to take care of him. Well, you have to really figure out different ways, right? What we do is let me talk about this. I'm just thinking if I should pick it up right now. What time is it? Okay, we can talk about it. So, given that in current scenario there is no one to provide secondary care due to lockdown and in the schools are closed, both me and my husband, uh, we both work from home, and we have always told our son that if you watch TV for more than 1 hour, you're going to make your eyes weak and you will not grow tall. And he really wants to be tall. So we really cannot convince him to watch TV for more than 1 hour. So the best we have is 8 plus 1, 9 hours of him sleeping plus 1 hour of him not watching TV. Other than that, we really have to figure out ways that we can give him secondary care. So we have built a calendar. It's one calendar which includes both our personal and professional commitments for both of us, of course, and we follow that to the T. We are working to balance our family and lifestyle while being completely work from home by staggering our work hours. So I work for say first 2 hours of the day while he's taking care of the baby or the child, and then once I'm done with my morning meetings, my scrums and everything, I will take over and he dedicates 2 hours to his work, and we keep switching depending upon who is in need of what time slot. We do not schedule meetings when the other one is, when the other one is in a meeting or has something more important going on. And at least one of us is always available, even if we are, if even if I'm cooking, but my attention is on my child, or if I'm, making his bed or doing some cleaning work, we make sure that one of us is available for the kid even in those hours. So any waking hour for a child, we have to ensure that one of us is there. So what we have done is, again, we have made our calendars flexible to accommodate our lifestyle choices. That is work life balance. And we are trying to do as much of that while being at home. Okay, now coming back to the staggering work hours. We're all well aware that these are extraordinary times and there's no precedents to follow. So it becomes all the more important for us to be trusting. Why am I able to do these staggering hours? Well, because I'm being very, very transparent. I'm being very transparent with my organization, with my manager, that you know what? Yes, I'm not able to give my 8 hours a day budget to work, but I will make sure that I be able to deliver what I committed for that day. So I have that kind of transparency that I have already maintained with my line manager. The biggest hurdle for managers and even individual contributors is how to build and align, build this alignment and demonstrate accountability. So when I tell him that, you know what, I will not be spending 8 hours, but don't worry, the work will be done. Well, it takes me 8 hours to do certain things on regular days. How am I supposed to do that in 4 hours when I'm working from home? I'm not able to do that. And I have to be honest about it. I will tell him or her what I can achieve. These are my goals for this week. I will try to do this much because of these constraints. This is when I'm being open and transparent to them. Manager wants they want to be sure that their reports are getting things done, and they, things done in the sense that what they committed for, and they won't be able to do that unless one, you're transparent with them, and two, you have ownership or accountability for your work. Every employee, and it applies to me and I'm very sure applies to you as well, is that every employee wants to prove to their manager that they are being productive. Even if I'm spending 4 hours at work, those are the most productive 4 hours that I do. In my case, when I may not be online at some time, my manager, I just ping him. I just tell him, you know what, I'm going away for next 2 hours, but I will be back at blah. I also tell him that what I will be doing or what I have done so far. What was I supposed to be doing? So I set my goals that, you know what, today I'm going to do blah. Blah minus 10 I have done already, and the remaining I'll do after this time. And I default to transparency again. And this applies to both of us, the employee and the employers. Some of you today here, you guys are founders and leaders, and part of the transparency does involve setting clear goals and sharing them. I'm a lead, so I'm able to set my own goals, but not every person on your team is a lead. So you, as a leader, have to set those clear goals and share them. Now that now that we are forced to transition to a remote working model, and I don't know for how long, I don't think you guys know for how long, you might want to start with daily check-ins. It helps ease confusion about what folks should be working on that day and how often they should be communicating, and what how certain things to be done or what changes need to be done to what was previously talked about or scheduled. So things like that. So this gives you an opportunity to actually break things down into smaller deliverables, so that everyone knows what's expected. You as a leader need to trust your hires. These are the people that you hired and you thought that they will be able to do a good job, so trust them. They are trying their best to do a good job. But if they don't know what you're expecting on from them on their day-to-day basis, then then they'll have a hard time meeting those expectations. So be as clear as you can about what the expectations actually are, even if they're absolute obvious. Make everything as clear as possible. Your team really needs to know that you're not going to change the goalpost on them. So we do scrums every morning. I'm leading 3 teams. So every morning, 15 minutes dedicated to each of those 3 teams. And we just reiterate the same thing for the entire 2 weeks' time. These are the things we are going to achieve at the end of the sprint. These are the things we are going to achieve at the end of the sprint. And then the other people tell us how far along, what is the progress, how much is done, what is remaining. So Agile is basically something, if you're not already following, maybe that's something to look into. Okay, I think we are almost at time. It is 5:22, so I'll try to kind of sum up what we talked about. We started with work-life balance, where the core thing to talk about was that the two things that we strive to achieve on a daily basis: achievement and enjoyment. So try to do that. Work-life balance does not mean spending equal number of hours on the 4 quadrants or 5 or 6, however you want to divide the important things in your life to be, on the quadrants or sections of your life. But instead, it means that you budget your time to experience achievements and enjoy in every single one of those without overspending. So you have limited time. So try to underspend if you may. And then what are the core things for work from home? You have to dedicate some space for your office. You cannot be working out of your bed. You need to make sure that you're not distracted by noise, by sound. You define both time and physical boundaries. Take often take breaks often. Sitting is not good for your health. What I usually do is I put these thick books and make a standing table for me. I don't have a fancy standing table at home, so I just stack books up, put my laptop on top, and I stand up and work for some time. I take breaks often. I like coffee, so I go for my coffee break. I take some time. If I've worked for 3 hours at a stretch, I'll just get up and stretch myself. We all take pride in working long hours. Not really the best of things, but some of us have to do it, but take breaks. And transparency. Be very transparent about your day, what you're going to do, how much you're going to achieve, and what times you're not available for work, or what are the times that you are away from your desk. These are some of the things you need to do. One thing I think I missed writing in here was the communication strategies to over communicate. So yeah, assume that it's the last point here. Over communicate. You need to be always in touch with your team, engage, talk, and send emails, do whatever you have to do in order to be on top of both your day and of the work that you're part of. Okay, so with that, let me just say thank you and stay safe. And I missed a K there.
Thank
Right.
you so much, Nidhi. Thank you very much. So we have 5 minutes for Q&A. So probably people can ask their question. They can write down their questions, and I'll take those questions up. Before that, Nidhi, I have a question from you. Taking it from the distraction you talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Things which we don't even consider as a distraction in regular office becomes distraction when you work from home. So I'll give you a small example. So social media sneaking, which I consider absolutely fine when we work in office, becomes a deadly killer for work, when we are on work from home. So do you also face that? How do you address that? So what's your take on that?
So I'm slightly different from you on this. I do not think it's okay to use social media at office. I think
So,
social media in itself is me time,
yeah.
unless I'm reading about news or I'm reading about something that is important for my work. If I have to keep myself up to date by reading technology newspaper or something of that sort, I usually I allocate time in my calendar for reading. I call it reading time. I call it get up to speed time or something of that sort. I dedicate time every week for that. Now, again, life is fluid. I'm not saying it should be 2 hours on Friday. Done. No, I'm saying that I'm going to spend at least 2 to 3 hours a week. These could vary along, across the all the weekdays, or if I'm not able to do that over the weekdays, probably weekends. But whatever works for me, same way, whatever works for you. Now, how do you keep yourself away from social media while you're at work? Just just assume that somebody's watching you. You cannot open your WhatsApp or your LinkedIn or Instagram on your laptop while you're working because somebody's watching you. Think of it as that, and if that doesn't help, then probably just switch off your phone for some time. You can keep your phone aside, switch it off, focus on what you're doing, dedicate the breaks that the coffee break that I talked about. I take coffee break. You can take your social media break if that's very important and you like to be in touch. Then dedicate some time through the day. Every time you're going for a break, that's the time you pick up your phone and you scroll through your WhatsApp messages, check who's doing what, who's having fun in their life and who's not, whatever works best for you. But that could be one way you can tackle this.
Okay, thanks. So
Was
any
that helpful?
question we yeah.
Okay.
So do we have any
All right.
question from the audience side?
I see Priyanshi Kanchan had raised her hand. Priyanshi, do you want to talk about your question?
Okay.
I think she's
Priyan,
speaking, but I can't hear her.
yeah.
Yeah, I raised it when you were not audible.
Oh, okay, that's all right. I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize I was on mute.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm happy to take any questions. I've already shared my email address and my LinkedIn profile here. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Um, Happy to share my other tactics to keep my 3-year-old busy while I am working. Uh,
Priyanshi, if you are still there, you raised your hand. Sorry, we could not hear you. Maybe you can write your question. I'll read it up for Nidhi.
Sunil, she mentioned that she raised the question when she was not able to hear me properly.
Okay, okay, okay. Sorry, that's not audible to me
That's
here.
all right. That's okay. Okay. All right. I'll take this opportunity to thank you all for attending the session. I hope you found something of value and just stay safe, stay indoors, stay home, and this too shall pass. All the best, guys.